Here's your wrestling news for June 9th, 2022, and your headlines for today include AEW introduces new championship, first champion to be crowned this month. Top New Japan star invades Dynamite during last night's show. Update on AEW World Champion CM Punk's injury and surgery. MJF looking to take his talents outside of the wrestling industry. What is he planning? Tony Khan doubles down on silence when asked to speak about MJF. Roman Reigns pulled from WWE Premium Live event. WWE struggling to sell tickets for second biggest show of the year. Pat McAfee may have to miss upcoming WWE event due to conflicting schedules. I looked like the biggest idiot. Joey Janela on infamous moment in AEW. Triple H attends graduation for Shane McMahon's son. Kenny Omega trying cutting-edge treatment to get back in the ring, and more. We are kicking off today with AEW, which has plenty of titles already on its programming. There's the World title, the Women's title, the TBS and TNT championships, and the World Tag Team titles, and that's not including unofficial titles like the FTW Championship or the Owen Hart Foundation title belts. On this week's Dynamite, it was confirmed that a new championship has been made, as the AEW All-Atlantic Championship was revealed via a video package. The new champion will be crowned with a tournament that will end on June 26th at the AEW New Japan Forbidden Door event. The tournament got started during Dynamite when Pac advanced by getting the win over his fellow WWE alum Buddy Matthews. While fans have been hoping to see AEW introduce trios titles, that won't be happening just yet, but the crowd can look forward to the crowning of the first All-Atlantic champion later this month. Forbidden Door will see talent from both AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling interact, and last night's Dynamite saw the debut of one of the latter promotion's biggest stars. While FTR and Trent were in the ring, Will Ospreay appeared on the ramp, and Dynamite was quickly invaded by the United Empire. Presumably kicking off a feud which will continue until Forbidden Door, fans were ecstatic to see Ospreay, a former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. We'll have to see what AEW's response will be to this invasion, but their relationship with New Japan is already proving to be fruitful long before Forbidden Door takes place. At Double or Nothing, CM Punk captured the AEW World Championship, his first title win in over a decade, but his time on top has been rough so far. On last week's Rampage, Punk confirmed that an injury will require surgery, and the Chicago-made wrestler has since gone under the knife. During AEW Dynamite, they revealed that Punk has undergone successful surgery, and while the exact injury wasn't revealed, it was noted that the surgery was on his lower leg. This matches up with reports that have said Punk suffered some kind of foot injury, but we're still none the wiser as to when fans can expect him back. When Punk returns, he'll face the interim AEW World Champion in a match to determine the undisputed top star in the promotion, and it's great to hear that his surgery went as well as it could be this week. Punk isn't the only star conspicuous by their absence, as last night's AEW Dynamite saw no appearance by MJF, who has been at odds with the company as of late. Begging Tony Khan to fire him last week, the situation has gripped fans who have debated how much of it is a work. While MJF has teased joining WWE when the time is right, it now appears that he could be preparing to try his luck outside the wrestling world entirely. As Sean Ross Sapp reports, MJF has a growing interest in pursuing Hollywood opportunities. According to his friends, as well as other consistent sources, MJF has been speaking more about the possibility of getting into acting. People within AEW have heard that MJF had meetings set up last week in LA later in the week to possibly explore that route. MJF certainly has a ton of charisma, and that could translate well to the silver screen, though we're not sure how Khan would feel about one of his top stars becoming less available. Ultimately, MJF has insisted that he'll do what's best for him, so don't be surprised if the Salt of the Earth follows in the footsteps of Batista, John Cena, and The Rock into Hollywood. MJF's issues with AEW have been brewing for some time, and before Double or Nothing, the young wrestler no-showed a fan meet and greet, leading to questions about whether he'd be at the pay-per-view. MJF did show and was flattened by Wardlow, but in the post-event media scrum, Khan refused to speak about the Salt of the Earth, an attitude that hasn't changed yet. While speaking on Busted Open Radio, the AEW president was asked about MJF's scathing promo from last week and doubled down on his radio silence, once again refusing to speak about his employee. "I can't comment on MJF's promo. I would say that it was a great night overall at the Forum on the aggregate. MJF has always rubbed people up the wrong way, and that's especially true now, but whatever is happening backstage, you won't hear about it from Tony Khan. Over to WWE now, as Roman Reigns is wrestling far less these days, thanks to a lucrative new contract the Tribal Chief has signed with the company. That new deal meant Reigns didn't compete at last week's Hell in a Cell, and his in-ring schedule is set to get even more relaxed than first thought. It had been previously reported that Reigns was set to compete at the next 3 upcoming premium live events, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, and Clash at the Castle, but that's no longer entirely accurate. Yesterday, WWE pulled Reigns from all promotional material for next month's Money in the Bank show, and in an update from Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso, it's noted that the undisputed WWE Universal Champion is no longer scheduled to work the July 2nd event. Prior to this report, Reigns had been scheduled to work the show against Riddle, who was promised to confront the Bloodline on this Friday's SmackDown. Barrasso adds the decision to pull Reigns was made after the show was moved from the massive Allegiant Stadium to the much smaller MGM Grand Arena due to low ticket sales. With their new location, Money in the Bank 2022 is close to selling out and will likely do so by the day of the show, but it'll have to go ahead without WWE's biggest star today. At this time, Roman Reigns is booked for SummerSlam on July 30th, as long as the event doesn't move from the current location of the Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. SummerSlam is often regarded as WWE's second biggest show of the year, only behind WrestleMania, but this show is now facing some trouble. According to WrestleTix on Patreon, WWE has a long way to go if they want to sell out SummerSlam, as at this time, there's over 11,000 tickets that have yet to be sold. It's worth mentioning that those 11,000 tickets are only ones at the box office, and that there's likely even more unsold tickets floating around the secondary market. We can't count out WWE comping tickets or finding some way to sell them or even give them away, nor can we count out the company announcing a much larger attendance than is present, as they've done in the past with WrestleMania. The last thing WWE wants is to move to a smaller venue and risk losing yet another match with Roman Reigns, but the company has its work cut out selling the biggest party of the summer to the fans. Reigns is still expected for this summer's Clash at the Castle event in Cardiff, Wales, but one of SmackDown's most popular acts may not be making the trip. During the latest episode of the Pat McAfee show, UFC President Dana White stopped by to discuss his fighting promotion and an upcoming event in Paris, France. White offered McAfee the chance to do a live episode of his show in Paris, an idea that the SmackDown commentator and former NFL punter was all for. The only issue is that the flight to Paris will be on September 3rd, the same day as Clash at the Castle, and no one made mention of WWE's first major event in the UK in over 30 years. With Cardiff and Paris relatively close to each other in the world, it's theoretically possible that McAfee could make both shows, but the popular announcer may have to face a difficult choice very soon. More from AEW, as Joey Janela recently finished up with the company, but had some controversies during his time working for Tony Khan. In July 2019, the Bad Boy was at a Blink-182 concert, which was being attended by Enzo Amore, and the two had an altercation at the show. Speaking to Chris Van Vliet of Insight this week, Janela recalled the incident and how he looked like a fool for picking a fight with the former Cruiserweight champion. I see some guy with a beard dressed in something that looked like a potato sack walking in front of me, and I go, oh shit, that's Enzo. So I start punching him in the arm, and he didn't take too kindly to that because I spat about him on the internet. The whole situation happened and they got it on video, and I looked like the biggest fucking idiot ever. It didn't help matters that this was mere months after AEW had been announced, and on the cusp of their Fight for the Fallen event, the last thing the new promotion needed was one of their stars picking a fight with a former WWE superstar. Since then, Janela and Enzo have reportedly put things behind them, but that doesn't stop the former AEW talent from regretting his actions all those years ago. We're focusing on the McMahon family next, namely Declan McMahon, the grandson of WWE CEO Vince McMahon. This week, Declan graduated high school and on Instagram shared some impressive pictures with his uncle, none other than WWE Hall of Famer Triple H. Declan may not be known to wrestling fans, but he has appeared on WWE TV in the past, as he appeared mere 1 month after being born with his dad Shane and grandfather Vince to kick off WrestleMania 20. Having a 14-time WWE World Champion uncle show up to your graduation is certainly a power play by Declan, and perhaps the fourth generation of McMahon will enter the wrestling industry like his dad, grandfather, and great-grandfather. And we're ending today with AEW's Kenny Omega, who hasn't competed in months now due to a series of injuries that has piled up over the years. We now have an update on the cleaner, who is doing all he can to get back as soon as possible. In a recent video, Omega can be seen undergoing platelet-rich plasma treatment, a cutting edge that could cut weeks, if not months, out of his recovery time. In terms of a return date, there's still no confirmation on when he'll be back, but early reports have suggested that he could be back by the end of this year. The Life Med Institute, who shared the Omega video, touted PRP treatment as a treatment for muscle, joint, and tendon pain, and we're continuing to wish the former AEW World Champion a full and speedy recovery. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.